Hello and welcome to another video, bodgit and leggit. Now, I'm sorry about the noise outside, the traffic. I'm outside because it's not raining for one day, which whether it stays for the remainder of this video is another thing. So what we have here today is a 98 Toyota Avensis 1.6 petrol, and it has stopped. It will turn over, but it won't start. And what they've done is, I got a phone call about this on Sunday, and they said they were going to bring it in today, which is Monday. So it looks like they put a new battery in, which obviously hasn't helped. So I can't even, I've jump started it and I've tested the battery. I've tested the alternator to see if it's charging, and it's not charging, but it won't stay running without the jump leads on. It's completely and utterly flat. So we know it's the alternator. I can't even turn it on to show you just how low the battery is, but I can test it. And, well, unfortunately, the battery is now showing 11.6 volts. Hopefully you can see that. But when I actually start it up, and I had it running without the jump leads on for about, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, with no lights on, it was only putting 9.6 volts into the battery, when it should be putting around 14 volts. Now, it does depend where you are from. If you're in a really cold climate, it can go up to 15-16 volts. If you're kind of like England/Ireland, kind of that sort of climate, around just over 14 volts is good. Anything over that or below that in that sort of climate is bad. But in the colder climates, it is okay to go higher, because obviously the battery needs to work, everything needs to work harder for it to charge. But in a normal climate, well, I say normal climate, like in a rainy climate like Ireland, that's what you basically get. So we know it's the alternator, at 9.6 volts just isn't enough, and we know we've got a new battery, so we kind of can get rid of the battery faults. Now, you can have battery faults, you can have batteries that won't take a charge, you can have alternators that are working good, but the battery won't read properly because the battery just will not take a charge. So you know, that is possible as well. Now, this one is kind of easy to change as such. There's a lot harder cars out there. You just need a few basic tools. I get it sent away. I don't do anything with the alternator myself. I just send it away. He puts, most probably in this one, it's a rectifier, but we'll find out. And but we'll get on with taking her apart. So, like most alternators, you'll have either a clip and a wire, or this one has both. It has a clip that's physically clipped in and a wire that looks like a 10mm. Some alternators just have two clips to have wires, but they're basically the same, just slightly different way of actually doing them. This one has another wire that's on it, but we can just move that out of the way. Slide that out of the way because we don't need that. So we technically just have two wires with a top bolt. We'll have a bottom bolt, and we have the fan belt. Now, some alternators on the newer cars have a automatic tensioner on the fan belt, which is slacking it off and it puts tension on it. This isn't this one. Down here, which I can't show you, right underneath the alternator, we have a 13mm bolt and a 13mm bolt. I'll show you once I get it off of there, and another bolt that goes through it. So as you screw the bolt in or out, it pushes the alternator in and out to adjust it, but we'll show you that once we get it on, and I'll also show you once I'm putting it back together how to adjust this. But it really is that simple. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off these wires. I'll take off this one first anyway. Just pull that back, slide that one out. This connection here would be for like the dash lights, and there's a chance that most people won't, even if the alternator was good, if this was disconnected it wouldn't charge. Now, there could also be a possibility that one of these wires could be broke further down the chain, but 99% of the times that doesn't really happen. So I'm going to get the alternator checked out first regardless. If it comes back okay, we have a problem with this plug, with one of the wires could be broke, and then we obviously have the main wire. So before I disconnect that, you don't want that, that's a live wire, I have to disconnect the battery first, because if this it's flopping around and it earths itself in the engine, you can pop fuses, you can do serious damage, you can blow up batteries, you can pop ECUs, stuff you don't really want to be doing. So I'm going to whip that off, which is a 10mm. Right, I disconnected the battery, and I like to disconnect the power. And the reason why I like to disconnect the power, because if you disconnect the earth and it earths itself out somewhere, it's going to basically make the same thing. When you disconnect the power, you've got more of a chance of nothing happening. So we have a 10mm spanner, and the other thing is, if this was live, it's not now, but if I had the battery connected, we can see that, and I was to pull this down and earth this against the engine, we'd spark, which isn't a good thing. So it's always important when you do anything like this, disconnect the battery. Just have to be aware, in certain cars you could lose your radio codes and stuff like that, so you have to be careful depending on the model of your car. As you can see, the wires are disconnected, simple as that. So I'm going to put that there so we don't lose it. So we have what looks like a 17mm and a 13mm at the bottom. So I'm going to disconnect this one first just to make my life a bit easier. Not a 17, so lucky enough I bought a 15 as well. Let's hope. Oh! Says I have a 14. So like I said, it's a 14mm spanner. Use a 13 as well along with it, just to make it longer. I'll show you do that on other videos. It's just a good tip. You can lock the spanners together like that to give you extra leverage. So disconnect this. Hopefully this is coming through. Take off the bolt. Just put that back together because it's easier so you don't lose it. Now we've disconnected the top. The bottom is obviously still on. So I'm going to try and do this. I'm not going to be able to show you, unfortunately, because it's just completely out of the way. But we get the bolts disconnected, and then once it's off, which is a 12mm now. So the bolt I'm undoing first is the actual, it locks it all together. It locks the adjuster. So I'm going to loosen this bolt. You don't need to take it completely off, just loosen it, which will allow me to screw in or screw out the adjuster depending on what we're doing with it. Now, so I'm going to screw the adjuster out this time. We're taking it off. I might just be able to wedge that out for the minute. Yep, so we know we're going the right way. Once I get this off, I'll show you how the adjuster and everything works. It'll become a lot clearer. See it? Let's see if we can do it by hand now. It's all loose. Now, as you can see, that's just gone in a good bit, which is now gone in enough, I think. Yeah. Pull it off, sub-pulls. Now this should come off. No, of course, I need to take out the adjusting screw, or the locking screw, sorry, the locking bolt, which I said you didn't need to take out, but you do. You don't need to take it off if you're adjusting it. That's what I meant to say. Now it should be disconnected, I think. Yeah. Is it? Okie dokie. One alternator. I'm guessing the rectifier is gone, but I'm not 100% sure. Now, as you can see from the bottom, this was the bolt that locks the adjuster in place. I'm just going to put it on down here to show you exactly what happens. Now, where are we looking? Everything out of the way. Okie dokie. Now, dog can see the rabbit. Oh. This is our adjuster screw. As I was screwing this in, this pushes this block up and down this threaded bar, which moves the bottom of the alternator, which obviously slackens or loosens the bolt, the fan belt. This is the adjuster screw, so this is the locking screws. This is what locks this onto this bolt here, So it's just one bolt at the top, which is there. Undo the locking nut, slacken off this bolt. You can see that little block used to be about there, so you can see how much I've moved it. So it's as simple as that, and that's her there. So I'm going to get this reconditioned, bang it back on tomorrow. Fingers crossed that is a problem. It's nothing to do with the wires here. And yeah, as you can see, disconnected the battery there. So I'll finish this video off tomorrow, hopefully, fingers crossed. But for you it'll only be a few seconds. It's great. I love if that was the real case. Sorted. Okie, we have it back, and the rectifier was gone. So we have a new one. Now what I need to do is obviously put it back. I don't know if you can see this on camera. We have to take the bolt off here first. And like I was saying, this is the adjuster. I can't see if this is coming through. But this is the adjuster here, and as you can see, as I'm going backwards and forwards, that is adjusting it, which will pull the alternator in and out, which will make the belt tight or loose, which goes in the bottom here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to line up the top. Now this little washer type collar thing can slide. It leaves you a nice tight connection. Sometimes what you have to do is push that back, but you have to be careful. You don't hit it with a hammer, because you can actually break the you can actually break the lug off. So let's move all this out of the way. Let's see what I'm doing. Hopefully that just goes on nice and easy, which is good, because that can cause a problem. Now I was going to put the top bolt in for the minute. I'm not going to tighten anything yet. I'm going to put the top bolt in, resting the top bolt in. Just going to put that on there just so it's in for the minute. Now, the top bolt is in. As you can see, this is how you actually tighten the alternator. So as I pull that pin in, or screw this bolt in, or screw it out, it will lift up, which will put more tension on the actual fan belt. So it's a good thing to do now is put the fan belt back on. Now it's nice and loose, and then we can literally, as you can see, as I'm pulling it with my hand, I just pulled it off the bottom, but I was tightening it there. Back on the bottom pulley. Now I'm going to put this bolt into the block. This is the locking bolt, and once I get that in, which can be a bit awkward to see what you're doing, we can actually adjust it after that. Now I've got that bolt in. What I want to do is just snug this connection up. So I just want to give this, I don't want to tighten it, because if you completely tighten this bolt, you will stop it from moving. So I want to put a nice snug little nip on it, so it'll move, but it'll kind of stay in the same place. It won't slide down. So if I just, now just a nice little snug, it can still move, and it's not too loose. That'll make our life easier when we come to tightening it. So I just want to screw this bottom bolt in a bit more, the actual locking bolt now. And now comes the time to actually tighten the alternator. I'm going to get a ratchet now, because the spanner could take a while. As you tighten this, you'll physically see, you might not be able to see on camera, but you'll physically see the alternator moving up and the belt getting tighter. Hopefully that's coming through. Get in there now. Now you have to be careful not to do these too tight. If you do them too tight, you can do damage to bearings on the other pulleys. You can obviously damage the starter motor, the alternator again, or you can even snap the belt. And it's very easy to over tighten these because it'll just keep going. What you want to do is get about a 90-degree turn on it, and after 90 degrees you want to be it wants to be hard to turn. So that's 90 degrees, and I can still turn it fairly easy, so I need to do a bit more. Now obviously if it's too loose it'll squeak, so it's very simple to tighten them again. Now that's good. That's not too tight. 90 degrees, that's good. This is coming through. I'm struggling to see because I'm outside. So we have now this at our right tension. I'm going to tighten the top bolt now. Give that a proper squeeze. Just get the span on it. Just make my life a bit easier at the minute because I haven't got my ratchets with me. And then we have the 12mm locking bolt, which will stop the alternator from undoing. So just use this a bit quicker. Now hopefully this video is coming across okay, and hopefully the sound isn't too bad, but the lift's full at the minute, so I have to do it outside. So we are essentially now in literally just a case of putting everything back. So the first thing I want to do, well actually the first thing I'm going to do is put some power wire back on, little 10mm. Put that on, let us tighten up, and then just clip that clip back, put this back in the hole, and this was just hanging down, which is no good either. I wonder where that was coming from. We'll sort that out in a minute. Let's just see if this works. Let's take that out of the way for a minute so it doesn't get caught in anything. So tighten that 10mm up and put some jump leads on, and let's see what happens. Now a good thing to do is tighten this bolt here first before you put the battery on, because if you cross the spanner, or if the spanner touches something, or the ratchet, or whatever you happen to be using touches a piece of metal, you can spark and you can pop fuses, you can do a lot of damage. So best to put that on before you connect the battery. Another good thing to do is just before you connect the battery, just tap it off to make sure there's no big sparks or anything like that, because there could be a problem with something else, or you've missed something or something, and if you're getting big sparks, you know it's a problem. Little sparks, it's not a problem, but big huge sparks, you know, potentially you could have a problem somewhere. So just tighten that back up. It's time to now put a set of jump leads on it, because this battery is completely flat, and fire it up. Right, so we have the jump leads on a nice big Jeep, so we should have plenty of power. Let's see what happens. Fire away. Well, it starts. Has the lights gone out on the dash? Right, all the lights gone out on the dash. There's no more battery light, which is good. What I'm going to do now is take off the jump leads and see what sort of power we have going to the battery. this might... Now bearing this battery was completely and utterly flat. Now, don't know if you can see that, we're putting 14.2 volts in, which is absolutely perfect. This battery was completely flat, it only had like 9 volts in it. Well, it was only, sorry, it only had 11 something volts in it. When the car was on, it was only putting 9 volts to it. So it's 14.2 now. What I want to do is I want to turn all the lights on, all the heaters, and then double check it. Now the light's on full, the heater on, and we are putting 13.6 in, which is still good. So with everything on, it's still putting loads of volts through. So that's it. Simple as that really. Look, hope it helps. Hope it came through okay as well, because obviously I'm outside. I couldn't really see on the camera if I was getting things right. And yeah, so look, hope it helps. Thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget to get your hands dirty. See you for the next one.